Inkatha Freedom Party will be holding its final rally in Ulundi, KwaZulu-Natal as part of the build-up to the 2021 municipal elections. The upcoming local government elections will be the first elections the IFP will contest without its former leader and founder at the helm of the party. It will field 2,570 councilor candidates in 105 municipalities, mainly in KwaZulu-Natal. Well, for more on this story, we cross to SABC News reporter Siphiwe Makhanya. Thanks very much, Siphiwe, for joining us. So what's happening where you are in Ulundi?
Well, indeed, Nompo, it's the final push for political parties across the country as we are now a couple of days away from the national elections on the 1st of November. Nompo, we are in Ulundi. This is where the Inkatha Freedom Party is holding its final rally ahead, of course, of the November 1st polls. I'm just going to ask my colleague Mdu to give you a picture of the situation where we are in terms of the number of people who have attended this rally. We are still expecting more supporters to be making their way into the stadium, and as we speak, you see those visuals there of Inkatha Freedom Party supporters clad in their t-shirts. Thousands of them have converged here to hear the message from the leadership of Inkatha Freedom Party, as of course they are hoping to make a dent in terms of the number of supports that the party will be getting on November 1st. I'm going to now introduce the Treasurer General of Inkatha Freedom Party. That's Mr. Narend Singh. Mr. Singh, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Siphiwe.
Perhaps let's start here. Mr. Singh, you've been crisscrossing the country, galvanizing support for the IFP. What have the people on the ground been telling you?
Well, I must say that I'm pleasantly surprised at the kind of reception that we've been getting across the country. There seems to be a new wave, and like we are new kids on the block, and the new kids on the block seem to be the IFP, because everybody is looking for an alternate home from the traditional parties that they used to support before, and they say we are the answer.
But let's talk facts now in terms of the current support that the party enjoys across the country. You govern about 11 municipalities. You are hoping, of course, to achieve more in terms of the numbers. But the party has been struggling really to make inroads in your urban areas, such as in eThekwini, for instance. How do you this time around hope to change that?
Well, I must tell you that in eThekwini we put in a lot of effort. We're contesting every single ward in eThekwini. We've got about 106 ward candidates this time around, and our senior leadership, including Prince Buthelezi, the president, were in Durban on a number of occasions addressing crowds. I am also addressing a business community this afternoon. So there's been a lot of interest from people in Durban, and I think we're going to surprise people, particularly in the eThekwini area. And in areas like Chatsworth and Phoenix, we're looking to really make a serious dent in those communities after what happened during the unrest, and the leadership role that Prince Buthelezi played, to calm things down, to unite communities. And this is something that we've been preaching all along. And I think communities are beginning to see us now as a unifying force, and not a force that wants to divide communities and divide people according to race and religion and other criteria.
Well, Mr. Singh, speaking of elections on November 1st, we've had the Minister of Public Enterprises, that's Mr. Pravin Gordhan, saying that South Africans cannot expect load shedding on the 1st of November. Is that what you're expecting as well? Are you concerned as the IFP?
You know, we've heard that so many times before. ESCOM will be put right, SAA will be put right, other SOEs, but nothing has happened. We are concerned, and this is why we've issued a statement expressing concern that load shedding could impact on November 1 and even post-November 1, because the results centers and even where counting is taking place and sending results to the IEC could be compromised if there is load shedding in the way it's happening. And it's just not acceptable that we should be going through this stage of not load shedding but blackouts, which the entire country is faced with.
Before we let you go, Mr. Singh, just your overall observation in terms of how the campaign has been. Obviously, you know, there was that situation where some were not expecting the elections to be held on the 1st of November, but we are where we are now. Would you consider that the IFP has run a successful campaign?
Well, when you say some did not expect it to be in the 1st of November, also the IFP, because we also joined the IEC in requesting the court to consider a later date, and that was mainly because of the COVID concerns that we had, which are still there, and that's another concern we have, and we just hope people do the right thing when they go to vote, and all precautions are taken. But in the limited time we had, we did our best. We'll know in the early hours of the 2nd of November how well we did, but I think we did as much as we could with limited resources, limited manpower and limited time. But let's hope that people will vote IFP come the 1st of November.
Mr. Singh, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you indeed.
Well, that's the Treasurer General of the IFP saying that they hope they've done enough to convince South Africans to come out in their numbers to vote for them come the 1st of November, where we are. The leaders of the IFP have already arrived. We just now awaiting the arrival of the President Emeritus of the IFP, the founding president of the IFP, that's Nkosi Umangosuthu Buthelezi, to make his way into this marquee. You see the current IFP president, that's Mr. Velenkosini Hlabisa, already, waiting here patiently for the commencement of the program. Nompo, back to you in Johannesburg for now.
Thanks very much, my colleague there, Siphiwe Makhanya.